What's going on, guys? It's Ricky with TechBud Solutions. So thank you guys again for joining us for another week of our Sunday Stock Talk. So pretty much our Sunday Stock Talk, if you guys haven't joined us already, it's pretty much just a recap on last week's trading, kind of what to look out for this upcoming week. So I'm going to answer a couple of your guys' questions that you guys have put out that you guys want me to do for you guys in a sense. So again, TechBud Solutions is a group I started in response to, or in order to teach, people just the fundamentals of trading penny stocks and stuff like that. So right now with all three different platforms, we're sitting a little bit under or a little bit over actually 900 members. So it's growing a lot since we initially started it, and it's been a great group. So for those that are joining, they're all welcomed by the current active members in our group. So I hope you guys are enjoying it so far. And if you guys have any questions, please feel free to reach out to me. If you guys would like to be a part of this group, the links are provided for you down in the description. So it provides you with the link to join the Facebook group, and then it provides you with my email as well. And once you join the Facebook group, send me an email, ask for the welcome document. That welcome document will provide you with all the links to join the group messages and stuff like that, which is where we actively trade. Because with the Facebook, that's kind of just in a sense to symbolize like our group. But the group me is actually where all the active traders are the ones that just Monday through Friday, even on the weekends, we talk to one another just with current events and stuff like that. But Monday through Friday, as soon as the market opens, you'll be seeing all those messages. It's really cool being able to surround yourself with like-minded individuals. So let's kind of get started. I'm going to go down the list. Let me just fix my light real quick. Sorry about that. All right, but I hope you guys have had a good week so far. Overall, didn't have an amazing week as of like a week in a whole. I did end the week on a good note, probably with my largest day with the whole week of trading. And it's because I was a little bit more active when it came to trading itself. I had a whole plan set up, so I'm going to try that again next week. You guys have been giving me so many different ideas just because you guys have been DMing me. The emails I've been trying to catch up on. I think it's after I made the last like 5 videos on my YouTube. Have generated a lot of emails, and I've been trying to go through them. Went through like 20 emails today, and I've been trying to go through 20 every single day. But again, I'm a full-time student, and then I do a couple other things on the side, so definitely do get a little busy. So those who I haven't responded to, just be patient. I'll be sure to get back to you. But let me go ahead and get started. I'll start answering you guys' question and kind of just stocks to look out for and what I kind of think of them. So let me go down the list. All right, so Jetson, which is one of our active traders within our group, he says, either the top or bottoms of IPXL. IPXL has been one that has been heavily traded from mainly like you guys. I haven't personally traded IPXL, but let me take a look into this. It almost looks like it's flatlining. So I'm going to start sharing my screen, and then just in order for you guys to see kind of how I break down and do my own technical analysis on these stocks. So hopefully you guys try to focus on kind of what it is that I look for. So the safety nets, that means the low points. Resistance means the high points of a buy-in and a sell point. And when it comes to having a plan, so like we talk about when it comes to trading, if you don't have a plan when it comes to, when you initiate the limit to buy a certain stock and you don't have a plan on where to sell, where to cut your losses, and that whole plan altogether, then you shouldn't be investing in that stock since you don't have a complete understanding on where to buy in and where to sell since we're day traders. So I'm going to start sharing my screen and let me know if you guys have any questions. And you guys can reach out to me through any of the social media applications just because I don't have access to the group chat. There was one of you that DM'd me that told me how to get access to it. I don't have my phone right next to me, so I can't do that. But just reach out to me if you guys have any questions. All right, so this is IPXL, and I'm using the brokerage for the Fidelity, which is the brokerage company I use when it comes to doing my technical analysis. It also holds like the largest amount of money that I have when it comes to trading. I actively use Robinhood to day trade, but I love using Fidelity for the technical analysis. And overall, this is a 1-year analysis on IPXL. What you can tell right away is what I like to do to determine the overall lows. As you can see, it almost flat lines. It had this huge drop from, started at $40, now trading around 12. So overall, what you can tell about IPXL within the past, year, it's definitely not a hold, right? You don't want to lose from $40 down to $12. You know, that's definitely not something you want to do when it comes to it. Doesn't look like a very, just profitable company in the long run. Again, we're day traders, so we're holding it for a certain amount of, just hours. And it definitely has those pops, so it can be day traded. And when it comes to, a larger stock like this, then it's a little bit safer to trade. So for those that are newer to trading, if you guys are cutting your losses at 2.5%, then since it's a $12 stock, $1.20 being 10%, you'd have to lose about 20 to 30% to even lose 2.5%. So again, that is the low. I just set that. I can tell that there's a strong resistance right away, right here at that $15 mark. And the reason I can tell that is every time it tries to go above it, it comes back down. Every time it tries to go above 15, it comes back down. Again, we're at $12.50. Now I'm going to go and do a 10-day analysis. I'm going to change their frequency to 5 minutes just to get a better understanding. And you can see that it set its lows right here, right along that $12 area, right? This is $12.05, this is $12, and it has a small resistance, or a pretty strong resistance, if you see right here, around $12.20. And another resistance here at $12.60. And another resistance there. Overall, realistically, when it comes to trading, IPXL, just based on the past, 5 days, maybe even 10 days, hasn't had huge pops within 1 day trade. So it's had pops from $12 to highs of $12.60, which is about a 5% profit, which isn't bad at all, right? I mean, profit's profit, but it had to have been, you hold overnight, you have, could have bought around, the average of 1240 area, and it popped all the way to 1370. That's more of a 10% gain. You don't really see that, but you see it flatlining here. And like we talked about last week, when it flatlines like this, it's either going to, drop below 12, and then you can cut your losses anything below 12. So it has gone below 12, but again, to, just keep your your overall account, profitable, I would say cut your losses at 1%. So when it comes to trading a, just that's about 12 cents. So you can lose 12 cents. That's 1%, and you minimize if you're trading $1,000, then you're only risking in a sense of about $10. So with that, you cut your losses pretty short, and overall in the long run, you have a lot of margin to make up for profit. So what I would suggest, if you can get anything like this typical buy area of 12 to 1205, seems to be a pretty good buyer. So my plan for IPXL, if I were to trade this, and I can buy, I mean, it holds pretty well about 1205. So it looks like we don't even want it to go to 12. It looks like the safety is actually around 1205. So that's actually a pretty good buying area. If it opened in the green, and you could see that it passes, it just holds well above 1250. Then what the suggestion you can make in a sense is buying in at 1205, cut your losses anything below $12. It has gone below $12, so it has a low of 1187, which is about 1% loss. So you can cut your losses at 1%, so you can set a stop loss, and then you can sell according to these higher resistance levels around 1261. So this IPXL definitely does not seem like a bad stock to trade when you have a whole plan set up. So you risk at most, if you have $1,000 account, $10 by cutting your losses at the low points of $11.87, and the overall profit that you can make from $12 all the way up to $12.61 or $13.79 are pretty high. And it tends to be more of a stable company, nothing crazy. It does in the long run lose a lot of its value, but again, we're day traders, so we don't really have to worry about that. And that's my analysis on IPXL. All right, there's CX that he suggested, so let me go through that. This is pretty much what I do. I search the company, I click on advanced chart. So for those that were asking me, once I click on advanced chart, I believe advanced chart is the only option when you have an account with Fidelity. So this one is different. I like changing the candlestick standard. It's pretty high, honestly, especially for the year. So it has a resistance like one of the highest points around 937. It's sitting right around 880. So I mean, the most you'd even be able to make is about 10%. So I think it's too high for the price itself. It is shown to be a profitable company. So this is more like a hold in a sense. This definitely is not a penny stock, since it's well, dollars instead of pennies. So it tends to be a little bit more, steady and stable. So it looks to have a safety around 768. And if it comes to trading this, like this definitely looks like a company that I'd like to trade like a little bit more long term. So it's more like swing trading. So with this itself, if you don't have that much time in your hands, I would set an alert. Once it goes below $8, you can be buying in around this lower area right here. So around the 768 to the $8 area, and then be selling around this $9 area, as we understand that to be a resistance. So anything above 9 tends to be a resistance that either stops out there, or realistically tops out here at least 3 times and most likely going to stop out there on the 4th time. So to lock in your profits, you can shoot for try to squeeze into like the 961 that it showed there, but realistically with the last 3 times that it was picking up above $8.50, it has at least hit $9. So don't get too greedy. Lock in your profits. $9 seems to be a good area to sell at, and then just know that $7.68 tends to be a pretty good safety. And after this, it can continue to drop as it has a resistance if it's down here. So when it goes up, hits about 770, and then comes back down, hits about 550, and then comes back up. Struggled and then popped over, hit $9, came back down. And then you can kind of see the trend with that itself. And if you continue to trade with our group, then you'll continue to learn from the trend altogether. So as long as it doesn't continue to hold or plateau around the 760, most likely will continue to bounce up. If it continues to plateau, just know you can catch your loss as soon as possible as it goes below 750, and most likely because it's going to continue to bleed back down. But that's my technical analysis on CX. Definitely a good one to add to your watch list. PTX. So we talked about PTX. I'm going to talk about PTX quite often. So I'm going to try to, I'll talk about that one. There's Eagle, PED. Let's do PED. PED is not one that I've traded, so I kind of want to look into that one. So this right away. So the reason I know some companies are kind of like on track to be delisted. So it says below continuing listing standard. Therefore, it's on track to almost get delisted. So when it's on track to get delisted, then that's definitely one that, no matter what the price is, you don't want to hold overnight, since it's already, pretty much going to, when a stock gets delisted, that means it gets removed from NASDAQ, and usually cuts the price in half. So if you had, $1,000, then, then once the market opens the following day, you might be at $500 or less than that, depending on where it opens at, since so many people are selling, since they're pretty much saying that the company is bankrupt. Overall, with this 1-year analysis, definitely not a lot of volume. I mean, it is a penny stock, so right now it seems to be plateauing around the 10 cents. So not a bad thing. I'm gonna speed up the frequency. Really low volume, as you can see, it's not as active. You can see that the resistance, will safety right around that $10 area, 10-cent area, and resistance right around actually right here. So again, like we say, new safeties become new resistance levels. You know that there's a safety there, so there's most likely going to be a resistance there. So right now it's trading around 1103. Yeah, I personally kind of want to stay away from this, just because I found it to be harder to cut your losses on a stock like this, especially when the volume is low and when the value of the stock itself is so low. It's really hard to cut your losses at 1%, since when you lose 1 cent of an 11-cent stock, you've already lost 10%. So for those that are starting and those that want to make, just steady profit and realistic profit, I would say with these small cap penny stocks, you'd probably want to stay away from, just because they are highly volatile and they could just jump around, and one day you can be up 10-20%, the next day you can be down 50%. So these are not really ones that you probably want to learn with, but this is one that you can add to your watch list, and understanding that the safeties are 11 cents, resistance right around the 11.5. So not huge areas for profit either, but 10 cents tends to be a good buy area. So you can set your alert when it goes below 10.25, and see if you can get it, lock in a buy in right there, and then sell anything higher than that. All right. IRBT. Alrighty, so IRBT, I have not traded this one either. This is the one that suggested this one is Justin, and Justin Lawrence is one that I've talked to him on the phone. He seems to be pretty knowledgeable when it comes to long-term trading. It tends since he's busy with school and work, like many of you, he likes to focus on stocks that are not as active and kind of just long-term trades. I can see with IRBT, it does have a really strong resistance. At least with the past year, it tends to almost be flatlining around this 60-cent area, and have low points around the 56-cent area. So for those that are trading, if you guys definitely want this to be a hold, I'd say the price as of now for myself and for what I see is too high based on this being a 1-year analysis. Low points around 30, high points around 60, and bounces around 56 as it's hit that point, came back down, hit that point, comes back down, hits that point. Most likely going to come back down. So you can try getting in around the 56 and then sell at that if you don't want to be too active when it comes to day trading. This is definitely more of a long-term hold, and that's my analysis on IRBT. I do want to talk about stocks that kind of I want to look out for, and I actually have them here already. So CIE was one that we were talking about. CIE does have a pretty good setup as of where it's trading right now. So again, my whole game plan for this upcoming week when it comes to trading this is we were buying in at 112 as that was a pretty strong safety based on a 10-day analysis as it hit 112, bounced up to 122, which is there, your 10% alone. That was pretty much the plan as when it was going to 112. It went below and it hit lows of 110, not a really good sign. If it bounces from 110 and goes above 112, just know that it has the possibility and resistance right around that 120 area, and that's pretty much my whole analysis or my whole plan when it comes to trading CIE. So my plan is buying anything above 110, 111 tends to be a pretty good buying area. Cut my losses at anything below 110 and lock in my profits around the 118 or 120 area as that is a resistance. So realistically, I can do that, cutting my losses at 1% or less and locking in profits at anything above 5%. Or realistically, profit's profit. So when it comes to trading in long term, especially if you're new to trading, if you're 2, 3, 5, 20% in for profit, just try to learn from the kind of the just really the whole concept of trading. That's really what I want you guys to focus on. And the other one that I was taking a look at is ONTX. It's coming back to our comfortable area of trading, and that's around the 220 area. So set your alerts when it goes below 335, as it hit 336 but couldn't drop below it. As it once it breaks 336, it will continue to bleed back down and most likely catch around 225 to 230 area, which tends to be a good buying area as where it catches and then continues to rise up to the 240 to 250 area. And that's pretty much my plan. And you can cut your losses anything below 220 because that's pretty much what I'm going to be doing. DRYS, again, this one steadily loses money overall. Not really a hold altogether, as it has hit highs of 100. I remember when that huge pump happened, and continue to bleed back down to the $1, kind of flatlining altogether. So definitely not a hold, but definitely does have good areas of profit. This was one that we traded last week. So when it comes to trading, let's see, a 5-day analysis, and this really sucks because it's steadily just been losing money. What we talked about to kind of look out for DRYS is that on that initial drop, it tends to pick up to where it used to trade at. So, this upcoming Monday is pretty much what I'm going to be looking for. That first drop, once it sets its safety, I'm going to be, buying in most likely, cut my losses anything below that, safety it sets. So let me kind of just talk to you guys exactly what I was saying. So when it has this first drop, I tend to buy in. So let's talk about when I actually did it. When it's dropped below, let's say, $1.10, it hit lows of 110 or $1. As we knew, that was most likely going to be safety, as stocks like good-looking numbers. So hit $1 and then started picking up. On that initial drop, it tends to pick up back to that 110 area, and it almost actually hits it. It never actually really hits it. It did end up hitting it here, so it's holding pretty well above $1, and hopefully we continue to see growth when it comes to trading DRYs. So on that initial drop, when it sets its safety, that tends to be a good buying area. Cut your losses anything below that, and then lock in your profits anything near the old, in a sense, safety net. And then LPCN. LPCN is now coming back down to the 327 was the safety it set. This upcoming week we did trade it. We did pretty well with a couple traders. Bought in at 227, sold around the 340 area, and that's pretty much the plan. So hopefully it continues to drop, buying around anything above 325 to 330 and sell anything above 340 to 345, as that tends to be our whole plan. Cut our losses anything below 320, as we're not too familiar with that area and we don't want to write it down all the way to $3. And if you look at LPCN, I think 6 months ago did hit lows of $3, but we definitely don't want to write it that low if you don't have to. So just cut your losses anything below or at 2.5%. CEI was one that we did pretty well on. So it hit lows of 83, bought in at 90, and then sold at a little bit under $1 because I couldn't peak out at that point. But again, for this upcoming week, just really make sure you cut your losses as it continues to become, a smaller cap stock. This one is also on track for delisting, so you definitely don't want to hold this overnight. So just try to cut your losses anything below 2% with this. So watch for that initial drop, buying, and then it tends to do pretty well once coming back up since the volume picks up pretty quickly. So make sure you just have a whole game plan when it comes to trading any of these stocks. All right, guys, so I hope you guys learned a little bit on kind of what it is that I do when it comes to trading these stocks. So for this upcoming, for tomorrow, if you guys are in the group, ask me any questions that you guys might have. Something that I do want to tell you guys, something I'm going to try to do a little bit more active, is I usually have about 3 to 5 stocks that I kind of have an idea of kind of have plans set up for the next day of trading. So if you guys are okay with that, I'd be willing to share it, but I definitely want you guys to, understand why it is that I'm buying it. I'm not going to talk about like my plan or anything like that, just because, I'm here so you guys can ask me any questions, and I want you guys to understand why you guys are buying in, why it's a good stock, where you're selling, where you're cutting your losses, for you to understand, the true fundamentals of trading. Because if I'm here to kind of guide you, or for you guys to mimic my whole trading, that's not what I want to be here for. So hopefully you guys understand. I'm here to, you guys can ask me any questions you guys want, but I definitely want to be more of a group that kind of teaches you, the fundamentals of trading, rather than, just you guys mimicking every trade that I do in effort to lock in, a percentage of whatever it is that I lock in, because in the long run, you're not really learning anything. That's the whole point of this group. So you guys can, take the concept you guys learn when it comes to trading penny stocks and implement it into, whatever market of business that you're trying to get into. So hopefully you guys understand. I'm going to do a version to make it somewhat helpful and kind of give you guys a breakdown on the whole, like what it is I think about this company. You guys that can ask me questions, but that's pretty much it. Thank you guys again so much for joining us for another Sunday Stock Talk. If you guys have any questions, you guys know how to reach out to me. Again, the links are going to be down below, so you guys can join the group, as well as send me an email for the welcome document. I'd love to have you guys as a part of our group. As we've been growing a lot quicker than expected, and it's all because of you guys and all the support that you guys have for this group. So I really do appreciate it. Hopefully you guys had a good weekend all together, and let's make sure that we start the week on a green note. Thank you guys and take care.